Hi, this is my review of Rotworld. Rotworld is an old school zombie survival horror game. At first glance, this game seems pretty simple. However, there are some fiddly aspects to it, but it's a very good game overall. Let's get into the quality of the PDF first. Well, the PDF is great. It's fairly short. It's only around 64 pages, and you have a virtual table of contents. So with so little pages, it's going to be really easy to navigate through the entire thing. And you have pretty good illustrations with that, as I was telling you, an old school feel to them. And you have good organization, and everything's pretty well explained and pretty clear. And well, let's talk about the content of the PDF. First, the game gives you a great introduction to role-playing games in general. You have never played an RPG before, this game is going to tell you how to do it. It covers the basics pretty well. Well, in this game, as with many other role-playing games, you have two types of players. You have player characters who play as sort of like actors in the story, and you get the game master, who is called a corpse master. However, in this game, the corpse master feels really more like a director, because this game feels a lot like a movie, like one of those cheesy zombie movies, but in a good way, of course, and or TV series. And the corpse master really needs to think about the right way and the timing on when to release a horde of zombies towards go against the player characters. Or maybe the corpse master would like to place a zombie strategically, so it jumps at the player character when he least expects it to. Maybe the zombie is waiting behind the door, or inside a fridge, or maybe, I don't know, anything that could represent like an ambush point. And the corpse master has a lot of opportunities to surprise the player, and we'll get into that when I talk about gameplay. And well, characters in this game, they are pretty easy to create. You just roll your stats, basic abilities, and you get some skills, but they all need to follow a specific concept. So for example, if you decide to play as an office worker, you better have a good reason to explain why that office worker is also a jutsu expert. And if you play as a fireman, you also need a good explanation in case that fireman is very useful or very handy to have around when you do hack a computer. And well, then the game also has a lot of good rules concerning paranormal talents, and these rules, of course, won't be appropriate for just any kind of story. You need an adventure or plotline that has to do with occult powers, or I don't know, psychic abilities. But the paranormal talents are handled in a very gritty and somewhat realistic way. That is, you're not going to get crazy telekinetic stunts, and you're not going to be tossing around fireballs. You have powers that have to do more with like tricking the zombies into believing that you are a zombie as well, or maybe you will be able to see things at faraway places with your mind, or maybe you'll be able to communicate, send like telepathic messages, and that's the kind of powers this game handles. And well, basic actions in this game, this is one where it becomes somewhat fiddly. You see, you need a few 10-sided dice, and with each check you roll a pair of 10-sided dice, and you see the number that you got, and compared with a table that is kind of like a universal table for the entire game. The action table pretty much serves to find the outcome and the degree of failure or success with all actions, even if they are skill checks or attacks or whatever. You just make your roll, and you cross-reference the rows with the columns, and you get a specific result. When it comes to skill checks, you see how well you did in that action. And when you perform attacks, maybe using even melee weapons or just firearms, you will get different results. Maybe you dealt wounds, but you also drained stamina out of your enemies. So because here, during battles, you're going to lose both stamina and wounds. And well, if you get wounded, that's pretty lethal. You will eventually get killed. But if you lose stamina, there is a chance you will probably just pass out, and there may be an opportunity for your character to, I don't know, not die. So, but with zombies, it's really hard because you know the hordes are just moving forward and they want to eat everyone up. So this is a very lethal game. It's very old school in the sense that your character will probably get killed. So you need to, I don't know, you take it like a man. You're probably going to end up rolling quite a few characters because they're going to be constantly dying. And well, you also get different rules for using firearms and vehicles. You also get different modifiers to the type of, maybe you're attacking somebody who's behind cover. There's also modifiers that have to do with movement, maybe just tactical movement during a fight if you're moving, I don't know, through very thick vegetation, or maybe you're traveling on foot and you need to know how much time you will take to get somewhere. You get those rules. Now, there's another fiddly aspect to combat, and that's the sequence of play. This is not simply roll initiative, one side attacks and then the other side attacks. This is more like a semi-complicated sequence of events, because first the Cryptmaster secretly decides what the enemies or NPCs are going to do, and then the players declare their PCs or player characters' actions, and then both sides roll for initiative. And well, first the side that won initiative, let's call it side A, and then this can use paranormal talents, and then that side can fire missiles, shoot weapons, or use, I don't know, slingshots or whatever. And then that side moves, and then the other side, the one who lost initiative, side B, fires or throws missiles in defense. So it's kind of like an exchange of shots or firearms. And then that the other side, the side that won initiative, melees, and then side B uses paranormal talents and fires the rest of that side's shots or missile weapons, and then that side can move. And then at the end of the turn, side A, the side that won initiative, fires again and throws missiles in defense, and then the other side can finally melee. And at the very end of the sequence, you suffer stamina loss, and maybe you recover stamina by the use of different medicines or whatever. So as you can see, it could get a bit confusing. After several times of playing, you probably won't get used to the sequence, and you will have to have a cheat sheet or the steps of the sequence written down somewhere so you can look them over. And so that's the fiddly aspect to this game, but it actually works pretty well, because one thing that I haven't seen in too many other zombie RPGs is that this game handles suspense pretty well and pretty randomly. That's very fun from an old school perspective, because it's all about randomness and not knowing how the story is going to develop. The thing is, if your character decides to, I don't know, explore an abandoned house or an empty apartment, you need to say stuff like, okay, and I'll be looking over my shoulder every now and then, so zombies don't surprise me. But the Corpse Master is going to make a secret roll, and he won't tell you if you pass your awareness check. So, for example, maybe you got into the room and you're pretty confident and you're looking behind your back, but either way, suddenly a zombie jumps behind you and grabs you, and you start to wrestle with that monster, like in many movies and episodes in TV series, and that could end up getting your character killed really quickly. So it really creates that sense of suspense, of not knowing exactly what you're going to expect, and how the story is going to change in things that you couldn't predict. You also get an interesting chapter about handling NPCs. Maybe NPCs are hostile or friendly, and maybe you may be able to bribe them. I don't know, maybe you bump into a security guard and you try to ask him permission to pass a certain point, or you ask him if that guard can give you, I don't know, firearms or whatever. And here you get a set of rules on how to bribe that NPC or try to persuade him into helping you. You also get a chapter giving you some tables on how to generate the personalities of each NPCs, and you also get a lot of tips on how to I don't know, design the start of the entire plotline. Why did the zombie suddenly arise from the grave? Maybe it was because of some virus or bacteria, or maybe something supernatural, that some kind of, I don't know, voodoo or something caused the zombie outbreak. And that's the way you can generate an interesting story. And you also get a chapter to this that gives you a lot of tips on how to design unique zombies, or at least zombies that will surprise your player characters, because everybody knows that zombies die when you shoot them in the head, but maybe you can generate zombies that die when you shoot them elsewhere. So it has a lot of interesting tips and special zombie powers and abilities. And then the final chapter is actually really useful, not only for this game but for modern games in general, and specifically zombie games, because this is the Corpse Master Tools chapter. You get different tables for random encounters and what the characters find, guns, and maybe if they find gasoline, the gasoline doesn't work anymore. You get all sorts of tables concerning that, and you also get tables to determine a zombie's features, because maybe your characters bumped into a random zombie and you can find out if it's male or female zombie. Maybe it's dressed in a police officer uniform, or maybe it's dressed in a nightgown or pajamas, or maybe wearing a Hawaiian shirt. And you also get zombie physical features. For example, maybe the zombie has his throat ripped out, or maybe the zombie's legs are broken and the zombie's just like moving, crawling on the ground, etc. And you also get cool maps that represent places of refuge, like a corner grocery or a repair shop, an airport, a mall, you know, places where the characters can take their last stand against the zombie outbreak. And these maps are pretty big. They could serve as adventure sites on their own. You even get some sub-tables on those sites to, for example, in the mall, you get a table to roll different random stores. Maybe it's a shoe store, a toy store, a coffee shop, etc. Well, let me tell you what I think about this game. I think if you like old school games and don't mind the fiddliness of the action table, of checking the action table constantly, or making your roll, checking to see if you manage to hit and where, if you don't mind that aspect, you're going to really like this game. And of course, and the sequence of battle that I was telling you about, that could also get a bit fiddly, but if you can handle that, this is an amazing old school zombie game. And because of the randomness and the lethality of how it's all presented, you're going to get some laughs at the ridiculous deaths that your characters are going to suffer. So I highly recommend that you consider this game. If you're a zombie fan and you don't mind old school sensibilities, you should get this game. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.